The cafe was softly lit, filled with the smell of freshly brewed coffee and quiet laughter from nearby tables. Emma adjusted her dress nervously, checking her phone one last time. Her best friend had set her up on this blind date, promising he was different. After a long week at the hospital, Emma, young nurse with a kind heart but no time for love, decided to take a chance. But when the door opened, she froze. Instead of one man, in walked a tall, confident CEO in a navy suit, with 3 identical little girls holding his hands. The twins' triplets ran straight to her table, giggling. "Are you Daddy's date?" Juan asked, her voice pure curiosity. Emma blinked, completely caught off guard. The man followed, slightly embarrassed, yet calm, his eyes kind but tired. He introduced himself as Daniel, a single father who had somehow mistaken the time and brought his daughters along. The staff whispered in amusement, but Emma only smiled, sensing there was more to this story. As the evening unfolded, between spilled juice and bursts of laughter, Emma noticed something rare: how Daniel's world revolved around his little girls, and how lonely his eyes looked when they weren't watching. She hadn't expected this mix-up, but something about the chaos felt strangely right. Then, just as the night began to feel perfect, Daniel's phone buzzed and the expression on his face changed completely. Emma leaned forward, heart pounding, not knowing that this call would change everything. Daniel's hand tightened around his phone as his expression shifted from warmth to quiet worry. He stood up for a moment, murmuring a quick apology before stepping outside to take the call. Emma watched through the window, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. The triplets, unaware of the tension, were busy drawing on napkins and asking her endless questions about her job as a nurse. Their laughter filled the air, innocent and bright. But Emma couldn't shake the sense that something deeper lingered beneath Daniel's calm exterior. When he returned, his smile looked forced. He tried to brush it off, saying it was just a business issue. But Emma could see the truth. In his eyes, it wasn't about work. There was a quiet pain there, something unspoken. Maybe it was about his late wife, or maybe something from his past that still haunted him. Between refilling juice glasses and calming one of the girls who'd dropped her crayon, Emma found herself growing unexpectedly attached. Daniel wasn't the cold, distant CEO type she'd imagined. He was patient, gentle, and seemed to carry the weight of an entire world on his shoulders. As the night wound down, Daniel offered her a ride home. But just as they stepped outside, headlights flashed across the parking lot and a black car pulled up fast, stopping right in front of them. Daniel froze for a second, his jaw tightening. The triplets went quiet. Emma's heart raced, unsure if she should stay or run. The black car's engine hummed low as the driver stepped out, a tall man in a dark coat, his face half hidden by the streetlight. Daniel's body tensed, and instinctively, he moved slightly in front of his daughters. Emma felt her pulse quicken. The triplets clung to each other, sensing something was wrong. The stranger called Daniel's name, his tone sharp, almost demanding. Emma glanced at Daniel, searching for answers, but he only whispered, "It's fine, please. Take the girls inside." His calm voice didn't match the fear flickering in his eyes. Emma led the girls back toward the cafe, but she couldn't help turning to look. The man was holding out a folder, something official, maybe even threatening. Daniel's jaw tightened as he took it, flipping through the pages before closing it with a heavy sigh. Inside, Emma tried to distract the triplets with warm cocoa, but her mind kept replaying the scene. Who was that man? And what did Daniel not want her or his daughters to know? When Daniel finally returned, he looked pale. His confident aura dimmed. He thanked her softly for staying, but there was distance now, a wall between them. On the drive home, the silence felt louder than words. The girls had fallen asleep in the back seat, and Emma could feel the weight of something unsaid pressing between them. Finally, she asked, "Was that about work?" Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. "Not exactly," he said quietly. "It's about something I thought I'd left behind." Rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavier, blurring the city lights outside the windshield. Daniel's silence grew heavier with each passing second, and Emma could feel the tension in the car like a storm waiting to break. The triplets slept peacefully in the back, unaware of the fear in their father's eyes. Finally, Daniel pulled over by the side of the road, his hands trembling slightly as he ran them through his hair. "I never meant for you to get involved," he said quietly, his voice rough. Emma frowned, trying to understand. "Involved in what, Daniel? Who is that man?" He hesitated, looking at her with a mix of regret and exhaustion. "Someone who doesn't like unfinished business," he finally said. His words hung in the air, vague but sharp enough to make Emma's heart race. Before she could ask more, a second car appeared behind them, its headlights cutting through the rain like knives. Daniel's entire body stiffened. "Emma, wake the girls," he said suddenly, his tone steady but urgent. "We need to go." The girls stirred, confused and sleepy, while Emma's pulse quickened. The second car didn't move. It just sat there, engine running, lights glowing through the downpour. Daniel stepped out, telling her to lock the doors. Emma grabbed his arm, whispering, "Please don't go." He managed a faint smile. "I have to protect them." And then, without another word, he walked into the rain toward the waiting Karaz. Emma and the triplets watched, frozen, praying he'd come back. The rain poured harder. drumming against the car roof as Emma clutched the steering wheel. Trying to see through the fogged-up glass, Daniel disappeared into the storm, his silhouette swallowed by the glow of the other car's headlights. The triplets whispered their father's name, their voices trembling, and Emma's heart twisted. She wanted to run after him, but something in her gut told her to wait. A few tense minutes passed then, suddenly, the headlights went off. The darkness outside deepened, and Emma's breath caught. The next thing she saw made her blood run cold. Daniel, standing still in the middle of the road, holding something in his hand, a small flash drive, glinting under the rain. The car that had stopped before was now gone, as if it had vanished into the night. Emma stepped out into the rain, calling his name. Daniel turned toward her, soaked and pale, his expression a mix of relief and dread. "They know," he said under his breath. "Someone's been watching us since the day I left the company." She blinked, confused. "Watching you? Why?" Before he could answer, a loud crack echoed through the street, one of the cafe's nearby signs collapsing from the storm, startling the girls inside the car. Daniel rushed toward them, shouting for Emma to get in. The flash drive slipped from his hand, landing in a puddle near her feet. She bent to grab it, but when she looked up again, Daniel was gone. Emma's heart pounded as she looked around in the rain, calling Daniel's name, but the street was empty. The flash drive in her hand felt heavy, almost alive with the secret it carried. She hurried back to the car where the triplets were crying, scared and confused. "It's okay," she whispered, trying to steady her voice, though fear was clawing at her chest. She started the engine and drove toward the hospital, the only place that felt safe. Inside the hospital's staff lounge, Emma plugged the flash drive into her laptop, her hands trembling. A folder opened hundreds of documents, emails, and financial reports. Her eyes widened as she realized what Daniel had been hiding. His company hadn't just made medical devices, it had covered up a failed product that caused patient harm. Daniel had gathered proof to expose it, risking everything to make things right. That's why they were watching him. Just then, the door burst open. Daniel stood there, drenched and out of breath. "I couldn't let them follow you," he said, relief washing over his face. "You found it, didn't you?" Emma nodded, tears in her eyes. "You were trying to protect the truth." Before he could reply, a small voice interrupted them. One of the triplets had picked up Emma's phone. It was ringing. On the screen flashed a single message. Asterisk, "You shouldn't have opened the files." Asterisk. Daniel's smile faded as the lights flickered, and outside the hospital window, a black car waited once again in the rain. Daniel moved quickly, shutting the laptop and pulling the curtains closed. The storm outside roared louder, wind rattling the windows. Emma gathered the triplets close, her heart still racing. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Daniel turned to her, his voice calm but firm. "They wanted to scare us, but it's over now. I sent the files to a journalist before I came back." Emma looked at him, shocked. "You already did," he nodded. "I couldn't keep living with the secret. The truth needed to come out." A week later, the story broke nationwide. The company executives were exposed, and Daniel's name was cleared. Reporters called him the whistleblower CEO, but he avoided interviews, wanting only a quiet life with his daughters. Emma stayed by his side through it all, helping him rebuild what the lies had broken. The triplets adored her, and slowly, the chaos turned into peace. One evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, Daniel and Emma sat on a park bench watching the girls play. "You never meant to go on that blind date," she teased softly. He smiled. "No, but I think it was the best mistake of my life." Emma laughed, leaning against his shoulder as the girls' laughter echoed around them. The storm had passed, both outside and within. What began as a mix-up had become a story of courage, truth, and unexpected love, a reminder that sometimes fate doesn't send what we expect, but exactly what we need.